Let me ask you something. Why would a good God, a loving, faithful, protective God, allow someone to enter your life, wear a mask of affection, and wound your soul with it? Why would he allow someone you trusted to break you apart? The answer may surprise you. See, the pain didn't come to ruin you, it came to awaken you. That narcissist didn't appear in your life by chance. Oh no, it was a divine purpose, a mirror sent to reveal something hidden deep inside. The wounds, the patterns, the parts of your soul that were never fully healed. You were too kind, too trusting, too forgiving, and they saw it and took advantage. But hear me clearly. God allowed that narcissist to hurt you because he knew you were ready to rise, ready to stop begging for love and start embracing your value, ready to break the cycles your parents carried, cycles you almost passed down too. Pain teaches in ways peace never could. That heartbreak, it wasn't punishment. It was a correction. You were walking in circles, loving people who didn't love you back, giving pieces of yourself away, hoping it would be called love. But God said, no more. He used the narcissist to strip away every false identity you had. So when you looked in the mirror, you didn't see who they told you to be. You saw who he created you to be, strong, chosen. Now don't get it twisted. God could have stopped it. Yes, he could have. But if he had, you wouldn't have grown. You wouldn't have learned boundaries. You wouldn't have found your voice. You wouldn't have turned your pain into purpose. Here's the twist. The very thing meant to break you is the thing that blesses you. Through the hurt, you discovered healing. Through the lies, you discovered truth. Through their betrayal, you discovered God. And God wasn't trying to preserve your comfort. He was protecting your purpose. So stop asking, why did they hurt me? Start asking, what did it teach me? Because when you understand the lesson, you don't repeat the test. And when you walk out of that fire, you don't just survive, you shine. What the narcissist intended for evil, God used for everything. Sometimes the pain caused by a narcissist isn't random, accidental, or meaningless. It feels personal, cruel, and unjust. But in the middle of that chaos, something divine is often happening. Growth rarely comes in comfort. We don't evolve in sunshine. Real change comes in the storm when everything we thought we knew is turned upside down. Pain has a purpose, and one of life's greatest truths is that suffering can become the most powerful spark for growth. When a narcissist enters a close relationship, they pull you into a world that shakes your foundation. At first, it may feel like they complete you. Their charm, their attention, their intensity, it all feels like a dream. But slowly things shift. They start to criticize, manipulate, gaslight, and make you question reality. And though it may seem destructive, what's actually happening is a painful revelation. They are peeling away the illusions, exposing your hidden wounds, the areas you never fully healed, the parts you pretended didn't hurt anymore. This pain becomes a mirror you can't ignore. You start to see how often you prioritized others over yourself, how much you tolerated in the name of love, how scared you were to set limits, how easy it was to silence yourself just to keep peace. And suddenly, it hits you. This isn't just about them, it's about you, your growth, your awakening, your elevation. God never wastes pain. That heartbreak, that betrayal, that emotional turmoil, it all happened because something in you needed to awaken. Strength, clarity, self-respect. These don't come from books or sermons. They come through fire, through trial, through being on your knees asking, why me? And hearing only silence. That silence isn't absence, it's space. Space to find your own answers. Space to discover the power buried beneath people pleasing and pretending. The narcissist becomes the unexpected teacher. Not because they are wise or good, but because God can use even the broken to deliver life-changing lessons. And the lesson isn't to become harder or colder. It's to learn how to love yourself fully, even when someone else couldn't. To choose peace over chaos, even if it means leaving what's familiar. To heal from the inside out, not so you can never be hurt again, but so you don't rely on others to feel complete. What you went through wasn't punishment. It was preparation. That pain carved a stronger version of you. It brought your strength to the surface. It stretched your faith. It showed you how much you relied on someone else for what only God could provide. And after that kind of fire, you don't return to who you were. You grow, you rise, you become someone who sees the signs, knows their value, protects their peace, and loves with wisdom, not desperation. This growth isn't loud or flashy. It's quiet, internal, sacred. It lasts because it was formed in the valley, not on the mountaintop. God didn't let the narcissist hurt you to destroy you. He allowed it so you could finally become who you were meant to be. When someone with narcissistic traits enters your life, they don't just wound you, they reveal you. They shine a harsh light on every weak spot in your foundation, every part where your self-worth wavered, every area where you settled for less than you deserved. And though it feels cruel, it becomes one of life's clearest wake-up calls. It forces you to look at yourself, not to blame, but to see where you abandoned your own value. Narcissists spot vulnerability, not open-heartedness, but insecurity. The parts of you still waiting for love to make you feel enough. They sense your doubts. They notice when you don't fully believe you deserve better, and they exploit that. At first, it seems like they're pouring into you compliments, attention, admiration. You feel seen, even special, but what's really happening is they're gathering information, testing limits, seeing how much of yourself you'll give without expecting anything in return. Over time, the praise becomes criticism. The affection becomes control. The person who made you feel important starts making you feel invisible. You question yourself. You doubt your instincts. You think, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. That's the trap. That's where you start giving away your self-worth piece by piece. Not because you want to, but because you believe if you love harder, sacrifice more, stay silent longer, maybe they'll change. Maybe they'll see you. But they don't. They never do. It was never about love. It was about power. The longer you stay, the more disconnected you become from your truth. That's when God steps in. Not always by removing them immediately, but by letting the pain get so deep that you have no choice but to wake up, to realize what you called love was self-abandonment, that staying quiet to keep peace was destroying your spirit, that you forgot you could choose yourself. This is where true transformation begins. The narcissist is the trigger, but the healing is yours. You start asking new questions, not, why won't they love me, but why don't I love myself enough to walk away? It's not an easy question. It demands honesty. It requires change, but it unlocks a power you didn't know you had. The power to say no, the power to set boundaries, the power to leave what no longer honors you, even if it breaks your heart. In that breaking, you rebuild. You learn love doesn't require shrinking. Worth isn't given by others, it's discovered within. And once you find it, really find it, you stop chasing people who make you prove your value. You stop mistaking pain for passion. You stop earning love through suffering. You begin to live from a place of completeness, not emptiness. And the next time someone tries to misuse your kindness, you'll notice it immediately. You'll feel it deep inside, and you'll step away, not out of anger, but because you are aware, because you finally understand your worth. Because the narcissist, without realizing it, brought you back to yourself. There are moments in life when familiar patterns appear before your eyes. Relationships that start the same way, arguments that follow the same script, endings that leave the same ache in your heart. After a while, you start to understand that this isn't just bad luck or coincidence. It's a cycle, a repeated loop, something unspoken that keeps repeating in your life. When a narcissist enters and disrupts your world, it can feel like yet another heartbreak, another betrayal, another wave of emotional chaos. But what if that experience is actually a chance to finally end the cycle? Sometimes God allows certain relationships in your life not to punish you, but to help you see clearly. Nothing reveals a toxic pattern quite like a connection with a narcissist. These individuals don't just bring pain, they bring insight. They magnify the behaviors you've silently tolerated all your life. They press on every unhealed wound. They arrive like a storm and leave you sitting among the ruins, questioning how it all got so messy. Yet within those ruins, a profound discovery is waiting. That narcissist may have reflected something from your childhood. Perhaps their criticism sounded just like a parent's voice who never praised you. Maybe their indifference mirrored the rejection you felt as a child. Perhaps they made you feel unseen, just as you felt in a home where your feelings were too much, too loud, or too inconvenient for anyone to hold. It's not that you wanted to repeat the past, it's that you never fully healed from it. And when we don't heal, we unconsciously repeat patterns. Not intentionally, not knowingly, but instinctively, we move toward what feels familiar. Even if it's unhealthy, sometimes God allows that familiar pattern to appear one final time, but this time in such an intense, undeniable way that ignoring it is impossible. The narcissist pushes the pattern to its limits. They expose its depth. They force you to confront the truth. You've been living in a loop that didn't begin with you. It may stretch back through generations. Grandmothers who suffered in silence, fathers who never said, "I am proud of you," mothers who taught their daughters that love means sacrifice and silence. You didn't just attract a narcissist, you inherited a blueprint that created space for them. And that's why it hurts so much. Not only because of what happened, but because it confirms a fear you carried, that there's something broken inside you. That's not true. The pain is not proof that you are broken, it's proof that your spirit is ready to heal, ready to break the cycle, ready to choose differently. What the narcissist stirred wasn't only old wounds, it also awakened a longing for freedom. Freedom from the roles you were forced to play. Freedom from the belief that love must hurt. Freedom from thinking your worth is measured by what you can endure. When you finally step back and observe the pattern, something shifts. You stop seeing the narcissist as the entire problem and begin seeing them as the final lesson. You don't excuse their behavior, but you acknowledge what it revealed in you. And once you see it, you can decide, will I continue repeating this cycle or will I be the one to end it? Walking away takes courage. It takes faith to unlearn the love you were taught and replace it with love that heals, protects, and uplifts. The moment you make that decision, everything changes. The pattern loses its power. The loop stops spinning. And for the first time, you start moving forward, not just away from the narcissist, but toward a life where peace feels familiar and love isn't tied to pain. People who carry deep empathy often attract those who thrive on control, manipulation, and emotional dominance. This is not coincidence. It's an energetic dynamic. Empaths are natural givers. They feel deeply, love sincerely, and want to see the good in others, sometimes excessively. Narcissists are takers. They feed on admiration, control, and the emotional energy of others to maintain their inflated sense of self. When these two energies meet, it creates a powerful but dangerous connection that often starts beautifully and ends painfully. The empath sees the narcissist through a lens of potential. They notice the pain behind the arrogance, the vulnerability behind the bravado. They think, if I love them enough, they will change. If I stay patient, if I give more, if I don't give up, I can help them heal. What they don't see at first is that the narcissist is not seeking healing. They are seeking supply. And the empath becomes the perfect source, constantly forgiving, endlessly giving, always understanding. Initially, this dynamic feels like love, but over time it grows darker. The narcissist begins testing boundaries. A cutting comment here, a lie there, emotional withdrawal to gauge the empath's response. And the empath, being sensitive and caring, begins to overcompensate. They doubt themselves, internalize the blame, and push harder to fix the relationship. Without realizing it, they start trading pieces of themselves for fleeting moments of peace. They suppress their own needs to meet the narcissists. They silence their intuition to avoid conflict. What began as love gradually erodes their identity. This is where the lesson begins. Not because the empath is weak, but because they need to learn a hard truth. Love without boundaries is not love. It is self-destruction. When you give endlessly without limits or conditions, you create a space for narcissistic behavior to thrive. The narcissist doesn't exploit you because you're unworthy. They exploit you because you never said stop. Because deep down, old wounds taught you that love means sacrifice, that your needs come last, that being good means being quiet. Yet pain unveils truth. The longer you remain in that cycle with a narcissist, the more drained you become. You start feeling like a ghost, detached, exhausted, unsure of your own thoughts and feelings. Slowly, you wake up. You begin to see that this isn't love. That love doesn't make you feel small, crazy, or invisible. That protecting your peace is not selfish. It is sacred. And that your empathy is a gift, but only when paired with wisdom. Transformation occurs when the empath learns to set boundaries, not out of anger, not for revenge, but out of self-respect. When they say no, when they walk away, when they stop trying to save someone unwilling to change, they begin reclaiming themselves. They realize empathy is not enduring pain to prove love. It is showing compassion without losing your voice. It is being kind, not compliant. It is honoring your heart while guarding your soul. Once that boundary is set, everything shifts. The narcissist loses their hold. The cycle breaks. The empath, once worn out, rises again. Not harder, not colder, but stronger, wiser, and firmly rooted in self-worth. They have learned that true love begins with how you treat yourself. There comes a moment when you realize that what hurt you the most also taught you the most. When someone with narcissistic tendencies enters your life, leaving a trail of confusion, doubt, and emotional pain, it may feel like a curse at first. You wonder why you had to encounter them, why you allowed them into your life, why you didn't notice the signs sooner. But after the anger and heartbreak slowly fade, something deeper starts to appear, a kind of awareness you never felt before, not only about them, but about yourself. And with that awareness comes wisdom, a wisdom that doesn't just protect you, but lifts you up. Narcissists can't hide forever. They begin with intensity, often drowning you in attention, charm, and what seems like real love. But gradually, small cracks start to show. The truth slips out quietly like a tiny leak that eventually floods the room. Their criticism stops feeling like care and starts feeling like control. Their silence turns into punishment. Their praise becomes a weapon. Their presence begins to feel like a trap. And you start questioning not just them, but everything. You wonder if you're too sensitive, if you are the one who keeps messing up, if your expectations are too high. But here's the truth: the narcissist didn't make you who you are, they revealed who you were. They pulled back the curtain on the parts of yourself that needed to be seen. That self doubt you wrestled with, it didn't start with them. It only got louder. That fear of being abandoned, it wasn't born there. It just resurfaced. Narcissists don't create your wounds, they expose them. And in that exposure, you're given a chance to heal, to face the parts of you that have quietly waited for acknowledgement, the parts you ignored, hid, or didn't even know existed. This awareness is painful, but it's also powerful. It teaches you to slow down, to trust your gut, to notice warning signs instead of justifying them. It teaches you that energy doesn't lie even when words do, that actions will always speak louder than apologies. You begin to see patterns not just in others, but in yourself, the type of people you attract, the situations you repeat, the ways you respond when someone crosses your boundaries. And suddenly, you are no longer just reacting, you are watching, you are deciding, you are learning. And that's where true wisdom grows, not from lessons in a book or words spoken by others, but from living through something that could have broken you, yet instead sharpened you. Wisdom shows you not just who to avoid, but who you are, what you value, what you need to feel safe, complete, and appreciated. It reminds you that love isn't supposed to confuse you, and peace isn't something you earn by tiptoeing around people. Wisdom doesn't make you bitter, it makes you clear. It teaches you how to act with discernment, how to protect your space, how to love with eyes wide open. You stop seeing pain as punishment and start seeing it as preparation. You understand that God didn't let that experience destroy you. He allowed it to awaken you, to show you where you had been settling, to teach you how to recognize manipulation dressed as affection. And most importantly, to help you become someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives. Someone who doesn't just avoid the wrong people, but values the right ones. That kind of growth doesn't come quickly, but once you earn it, it becomes a part of you. A quiet strength, a deeper vision, a peace that no one can shake. Because now you know when someone you trusted, loved, or invested your energy in turns and hurts you, especially a narcissist, it creates a fracture deep within. You feel betrayed not only by them, but by life itself. You gave everything, your time, your energy, your vulnerability, your love, and what you got in return was confusion, emptiness, and pain. Afterwards, you begin asking questions that shake your soul. Why did this happen? Why did I let it go so far? Why didn't I leave sooner? But these aren't questions of regret. They are the start of something sacred. Reflection like this leads you to rediscover yourself, to reconnect with your identity. When a narcissist enters your life, they don't just manipulate your behavior, they subtly reshape your sense of who you are. It begins in small ways. They might tease you about your dreams, dismiss your achievements, question your memory, challenge your emotions, or belittle your goals in quiet ways. You start doubting yourself. You shrink slowly, not suddenly like a fading shadow. Gradually, you lose touch with your former boldness, your confidence. The voice that once spoke clearly now trembles or stays silent. You become someone who tiptoes through life, always trying to please, avoid conflict, or prove your worth. And that's the real cost. Not just heartbreak, but identity theft. Not literally, but emotionally and spiritually. The part of you that knew who you were begins to fade under the weight of their control. But identity, even buried, cannot be destroyed. It waits beneath the pain, beneath the years, beneath the fear. It waits for you to remember. Often, it is after they leave, after you walk away, after you finally say enough that the true rediscovery begins. You start looking at yourself differently, not with judgment, but with curiosity. Who am I when I am no longer managing their feelings, explaining myself constantly, or trying to earn approval? Who was I before I believed I wasn't enough? Who was I before survival became my default, and I forgot how to truly live? Rediscovery is quiet, but it is powerful. You reclaim your voice. You remember what brings you peace, what excites you, what you loved before dimming your light to make others comfortable. You feel your strength return, not as armor, but as awareness. You don't need to be hardened or defensive, you just need to be authentic. You trust your instincts again. You honor your emotions, even the messy ones. You understand that your worth is not negotiable. Rediscovery changes how you move in the world. You stop chasing validation. You walk in self-respect. You stop settling for love that confuses you. You wait for peace. You no longer apologize for needing space, clarity, or truth. Healing was never just about leaving them. It was about returning to yourself. The person you were before them, that was the seed. The person you become after the pain, that's the bloom. The full-grown version of you, rooted, whole, unshakable. Pain forced you to remember who you are. And that memory is divine because once you remember, you can't go back. You can love without losing yourself. You can give without being depleted. You can move forward without fear.